Adding components and features to parts and assemblies can be time-consuming and challenging. However, SOLIDWORKS Smart Component technology takes the worry out of finding the correctly sized part and creating the related part features. To add a bearing to this assembly, for example, we will select the thumbnail picture of the bearing in the design library and drag it into the assembly. As we drag the mouse over differently sized cylinders, notice that the bearing changes its size to match. Here, we will drop the bearing onto the shaft, and it will auto-size to a 20 mm bore. The bearing at the top of the shaft is a 17 mm bore, so we will change the size of the bearing to match. Since everything in SOLIDWORKS is easily editable, simply changing the configuration of the bearing will automatically change its size. We want to move this bearing to another location farther down the shaft. Using the Move icon and activating collision detection and the dragged part only, we move the bearing up the shaft. As the bearing hits the bracket, we can see that the interfering faces highlight, and we can also hear an audible warning indicating interference. To align the end of the bearing with the end of the shaft, simply add a coincident mate. At this point in the design process, you would normally get out your bearing catalog and look up the OD, the bearing width, fits for the ID and OD, and internal fillets. Instead, you can take advantage of SOLIDWORKS Smart Feature by right-clicking on the part and selecting Insert Smart Feature. As you can see, SOLIDWORKS provides the information on what features will be created, including shaft cut and housing bore. All you need to do is select which component you want the feature to go into. The faces are highlighted when you select the component, so choose the bracket as one and the shaft for the other. SOLIDWORKS will go ahead and add the features required to accommodate the bearing in the related components. We now want a snap ring to hold the bearing in place. Again, by using the design library and dragging the part into the assembly, the snap ring will auto-size to the cylindrical faces. We will add a simple mate to snug the snap ring to the bearing. To add the snap ring groove to the bearing housing bore, you can once again take advantage of SOLIDWORKS Smart Feature. The procedure is similar to what you have seen before. Here, we chose the inner side of the bearing housing bore as the component. As you can see, the groove is cut into the bearing housing wall. To see what SOLIDWORKS Smart Feature has actually done, let's hide the bearing and snap ring and section the assembly. As you can see, the shaft and bearing housing have had features added to accommodate the bearing and snap ring. SOLIDWORKS Smart Component technology and smart features can rapidly improve your design time and accuracy.